I can't think of better credentials for a shepherd than to be a person of invitation, a person willing to walk beside, a person who looks forward with a clear understanding of from whence he has come, and with a desire to better know, love, and serve the Lord. This is such a person. So welcome, Bishop-elect Vedder.
Thank you. Praise be Jesus Christ.
Both now and forever.
I want to thank you, Monsignor O'Neill, for your kind words and for your wonderful service to our diocese over these last 16 plus months of transition. You've been a great help to me, and I know you mean a great deal to the people of this diocese. And I'm already falling in love with Helen. I really am. It was very touching. So yesterday we spent the day together and learning more about the diocese and where I'm coming to. And so we visited the cemetery, which we knew they wouldn't tell anyone, so that was safe. But it was a beautiful time to pray for the deceased bishops of this wonderful diocese, for the deceased priests and religious, but also for the deceased members, our beloved ancestors, the communion of saints. They make such a difference for us. And so it was a very moving time for me. They're such a gift. And so we prayed in Our Father and a Hail Mary and a Glory Be for them, and just asking them, when they get there, after their purification, to help us and to really let them know that we don't forget them, that we're part of the same family still. We're still part of the same family. So last Monday I was enjoying a day off and just finished my every 2-week confession and some quiet time when at 3:30, my bishop, Bishop Kagan, texted me and asked him to give him a call, and I called him. He said, "Did you receive any phone calls today?" And I said, "Yeah, a couple." I said, "But," he said, "Did you answer them?" I said, "No," because they came like every 7 minutes or so. So he said, what was the area code? And I said, 202. He said, I would call that number back. So I called the number back, and the papal nuncio, Archbishop Pierre, answered the phone. And I apologized to him for not taking the calls. And I told him I thought that he was a telemarketer or was trying to raise some money. We had a good laugh, and he said, "No, I have something much more important to ask you for." And he said that the Holy Father, Pope Francis, has named me the 11th Bishop of Helena. And I was silent for quite some time. And he said, "And your answer, you accept?" And I just simply said, in faith, yes. And after we spoke about a few more details, we hung up the phone. I knelt on the floor before a crucifix and the Blessed Mother, and simply entrusted myself to them, asking for the graces that I'm going to need, very humbled, numb, but with a real sense that this isn't my doing, this is his, and that he knows what he's about. And then I asked St. Helena to intercede for me and for the priests, religious, and the lay faithful of this diocese during this time. I made dinner, and after the numbness wore off, I've been at great peace ever since, really a great peace. I want to promise all the faithful of the Diocese of Helena my daily prayers, as you've been in my daily prayers already this past week. And I promise you all of my energy, all of it. I'm yours. And I don't know much about our diocese yet, but I am ready and willing to learn. We need each other. And that's a beautiful thing, to need one another. So I'm here for you, as together we give witness to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I was telling the Chancellery staff before that we really give witness to hope. I received a wonderful encouragement from a great friend of mine, a bishop, that to be a witness of hope, because that's it, that Jesus Christ is real. He's a real person. He's active and alive. We meet him, and we encounter him, and he has such a deep and abiding desire for each of us, that he's truly risen from the dead, and to witness to that by our hope. And then he sends us out to the world to tell the good news that he has come to save us, to set us free, so that we can live in true charity with him and one another in the sacramental life of this church, which is already the beginning of heaven. And I believe that with every fiber in my being. And so now a few thank yous, if I may. I want to thank God first and foremost. Jesus has been so good to me daily. And I love him. I love his church and the gift of faith that he has freely given to me. I want to thank our Blessed Mother. Her fiat has inspired me so often to simply say yes and not worry what that's going to mean. And it's amazing what has happened in my life after saying yes. It's just incredible. I want to thank our Holy Father, Pope Francis, for entrusting me with this responsibility. His tireless service to us is an inspiration. He loves us, he challenges us, leads us, accompanies us, and he's been giving his complete life to us. It's a wonderful example, so I want to thank him. Also, I want to say thank you to Bishop Thomas, the former bishop here, and for his leadership and support. He's been a good encouragement this last week especially, and as well, again, to Monsignor. It's been very good to me. I want to thank my own bishop, Bishop Kagan, in the Diocese of Bismarck, for his care and support. He's been so helpful during this time, especially, but also the priests of the Diocese of Bismarck. I'm going to miss them. They've been a wonderful example to me, my great friends. And also the people of the Diocese of Bismarck. I was thinking of them this morning. There's some state borders that we have between us, but the people of God are pretty similar. And so I already was telling Monsignor, I feel very comfortable. When I was filling gas, you'd have thought I was in Lytton, North Dakota, where I grew up, that I know each person's unique, but there's a lot of similarities between us. And human nature, as such, we have a lot in common. And so that gives me great hope. But I want to thank the people of God in the Diocese of Bismarck, where they've been just so good to me and have formed me in so many ways. And so to them, I want to say thank you. To my family, too, I'm grateful. Such loving and supportive parents. My 11 brothers and sisters have always been a mainstay in my life. My 46 nieces and nephews, my 50 great nieces and nephews are so wonderful. Don't ask me to remember their birth dates. I get their names right, not their middle name, but their first name. My priests, too, and my lay friends across this country have been so good to me and so supportive, and I know I can count on their support. I need them, just as we need each other. So that might be enough for now. I'm happy to answer some of your questions. If you have any for me, I'll take them now.
Can you talk about your background a little bit?
My background?
Yeah.
So I'm 52 years old. I was born and raised in Linton, North Dakota, outside of it on a farm, 1,200 acres, grain and cattle. The town was 1,200 people, about 65 miles outside of Bismarck. Went to North Dakota State University for my first year in Fargo. Go Bison. I can still say that before I move here. But I was there for 1 year, studied mathematics was my major. And then I switched to Cardinal Minch Seminary, which was a seminary, a minor seminary that was affiliated to North Dakota State University in Fargo. It since has closed, but I was there for 3 years and then got my degree there through both of those institutions. And then I was sent to the North American College in Rome, where I studied for 4 years, was ordained then in 1993 at the Cathedral in Bismarck, was assigned then to the Cathedral, and a Master of Ceremony to the Bishop. Then I taught high school for 4.5 years. One of the greatest blessings in my life, really. It changed me, and I hope it changed them. But our Catholic schools have made a huge impact on me, and I love them. So I taught, then got sent to a small parish, and then I've been a pastor in 3 parishes, and then got moved to Rome. I was released to go to Rome for 6 years, where I was the director of spiritual formation, so the head spiritual director at the North American College, which was my alma mater, so to be able to go back there was very touching. To be able to have a part in the formation, spiritual formation in a special way, of future priests was amazing. And the quality of these young men is so encouraging. not only there, but across our country. God's doing something. He really is, and it should give us great hope. He's creating some great witnesses to hope, and they know what they're getting into, and they're not afraid. They really are excited about the church. And I came back and asked the bishop, so I get a little sabbatical, and he said I've been on a 6-year one, so that was taken off the docket. And so then I went to the cathedral in Bismarck, Cathedral of the Holy Spirit, where I finished with completion of building a rectory and renovating an office, and did that until moved into the new offices last Monday, or for the first time, and hung the last picture on Friday, and got in the car and drove out here. So it's, they'll be interested, I'm sure, to hear more of these details when I get back to the But it's been a great life. So I've been a priest for 26 years. So, yep.
You have a big rural diocese here with Helena. There's a lot of miles between churches. How do you plan on tackling that?
That's right. It's a huge place, and I thought, and Diocese of Bismarck is a big territory, but when I looked at the details, and I think it's 17,000 miles larger, that's just a little bit more driving. You know, you just get used to it. You know, growing up in rural areas, if you're not willing to drive an hour and a half for friendship, if you're not willing to take an extra leg in a flight to go see people who mean something to you, then you're just not going to have friends, and you're not going to know people. That's just our reality. And so I grew up in that. And so knowing that, well, I have to drive 3 hours to go to this parish function, well, yeah, that's normal for me. So it's nothing that's something that I'm not familiar with. And you just make the best of it. And you know, there can be some great things that happen. As I was driving across from Bismarck to Helena, it's a 9.5-hour drive with self-service, only about half of that. It's beautiful to have to turn things off and notice God's creation. And you say there's nothing out there. Well, that's because you're not looking for the right things. There's a lot out there. And I think we have a lot to offer the world in these wide open spaces that they could all learn from. So I'm looking forward to it. And the speed limit's a little faster in Montana. That doesn't hurt. Any other questions? Or
What are your priorities as you start in this new world here?
That's a good question. What are my priorities? My priorities is to give myself completely. That's it. And to be open to learn, to journey together, to rely on one another, to listen, and then to be a man of faith. To be a man of faith and to act in faith. That it's not just about calculating how does this all figure out on paper. That's important, but we're people of faith, and we journey by faith, and so we have to have that sight that looks through the lens of our faith in the living God and our hope in Him and His church, and that He's with us until He returns.